Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Defending the Early Years podcast. It's me, Kisha Reed, and today I'm accompanied by Megan Gessler. And Megan is the founder of two internationally renowned nature based early education programs. Two. She established and directed the Northern Illinois Nature Play Association and serves on the executive leadership team of the North American Association of Environmental Education's Natural Start Alliance. And currently, Megan is the curriculum director at Little Explorers. So I am so excited to be in the presence of you, Megan. I have been in the same circles with you online. And one thing that I always say is I attribute any success that anyone may think that I have to being in the same room with
Mm,
the right people. So welcome,
wow.
welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Keisha. And that love goes full circle. I absolutely agree with that. And one of the blessings of being in early childhood is the community and the strength of our community and the way we uplift each other and
Mhm.
support each other. I feel that. And thank you for welcoming into your realm. I've watched you from afar and admire all of the work that you are doing. So thank you.
I'm telling you, there's some lucky children in the world who have people who really care about
Mm.
the future, about the right now, about, the
Mhm.
programs that we're providing for them. So it sometimes it can feel lonely because the way that we do things isn't really, I would say, at least in my area, it's not the norm. So it has been
Right.
such a benefit for me to see this work in action elsewhere. So sometimes I'm like, hold on, am I the crazy one? And then I can look and see other people are doing this amazing work. And I just want to touch. I want you to tell us a little bit about your program, about yourself, how you got here, what drives you, fill
Ooh.
us in.
Yes, I think we're all a little bit crazy for doing what
Mhm.
we do, but that's also what makes it so wonderful.
Yes.
And you know what? I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until I was about 40 years old. Previously, I was a journalist. I love writing.
Mhm.
And then I had children, and life, throws you some curveballs and you get interested in different things.
Yes.
And I am the mom of two neurospicy children, and I was lucky enough to work in my oldest daughter's parochial school for a little bit, and then I worked in Montessori with my son for a little bit, and I saw spaces um, where children with different abilities and learning styles might not be fitting into the education systems that were around them. And so I started researching and learning, and I started working at a forest preserve that is about 5 minutes from my house in their education department, and was lucky enough to work in one of the first nature based preschools in the state of Illinois. I got to go visit Schlitz Audubon Nature Preschool in Wisconsin, was really inspired by the work they were doing, got my master's in education from Antioch with a certificate in nature-based early childhood, and I just found this passion and this love of
Mhm.
working with children in nature and seeing so many benefits from children playing outside, the intellectual benefits, the social emotional benefits, the health benefits. Um, it's just staggering to watch, and it's good for all children. And I think that is what really needs to be highlighted because we're not there yet for
Yeah.
access for all
Yes.
children. It's good for urban children, rural children.
Mhm.
It's good for everyone, even
It's
adults.
good for humans. I was gonna say it's good for
It's good for
humans.
me. Yeah.
Mhm. I
Right.
love that your children were the catalyst for you
Mm,
to look for an alternative. And I think that
hmm.
that is the case with so many early educators that it started out by a need, like a
Mhm.
personal need. And I always say, once you see the light, it's hard to go back. Like, once you know there's a different way, once you know that
Right.
it works, once you know that your child comes to life, it is hard to go back. So, part of
Yes.
my work is to help others see that light, because the more educators, the more parents, the more
Mhm.
administrators, the more licensing specialists that we can get to really see what does this look like in action, like how it's
Mm.
magical. So once you see it, you can't undo it. I had one of my teachers who she trained under me and she worked with me for a while. And
Mhm.
then during the pandemic, and we had flood and all kinds of crazy things happened to us, and we got to a point where we needed to um, lay some of our staff off for a certain period of time.
Mhm.
And she ended up having to go to another program, which was a lot more traditional. And one day she called me and she was like, "You have ruined me for all of these programs." She was like, "I just can't unsee it. Like, I know that there is a better way and
Mhm.
I cannot unsee it." So I felt
Mhm.
like I have done my job. Because then where she
Good.
went, she planted seeds. She
That's
helped
right.
them see the light. So while
Ripples.
yes,
Mhm.
there was a lot of pushback,
Mhm.
but I like to believe that even when
Mhm.
people are pushing back, when you leave this residue. And every
Right.
time they do something a different way, they have that in the back of their head, like, well, why am I forcing this child to nap, or whatever the
Mm.
thing is that may be not needed to be forced. um
Right.
it's just really a important part of this work for me. So to know that that is how you came into it, just by like feeling it, seeing it, and then being changed,
Mhm.
is amazing. And also the story of when it happened. Like, this
Mhm.
can be a shift in your life. This work can be awakening you at any time.
Mhm.
It's not for me, I feel like I was born that way. Like, I just knew. I, I was a baby taking care of babies. So I just
Mm.
knew. But I love the story of it coming to you in the moment
Mhm.
that your children needed it.
Yes, feel like we're all on the precipice of these ripples of change, sending it outward and causing, hopefully, uh, something to shift in the way that we think about our public school system. And if we can highlight the benefits of what we're doing in early childhood, which includes up to age 8,
Mhm.
eh, can we also see how this is beneficial for all and should be, you know, carried on through elementary, through middle, through high school? How
Yes.
how can we take what we're seeing and what the evidence is showing us and the research backing is now showing us as we get more and more into this? How can we use this as a catalyst for that positive change? And also keeping in mind, sometimes those of us in nature-based education get a little snobby with the way that we think of nature and what nature
Mhm.
looks like and what nature is. And it really is everywhere. It's in the clouds, it's in your weather, and it's in the air and the wind. It's
Yep.
the birds that you see. This happens everywhere. It's in the dandelions that we're now seeing coming up in between the cracks in the sidewalk. It's
Mhm.
it is everywhere. It's not just in a
It's in
pristine.
the middle of the cities. It's
Correct. Yeah,
everywhere.
it's everywhere. So how can we work with our surroundings and that place-based, um, ecocentric, um, you know, space that we have around us? How can we introduce or reintroduce
Mhm.
children to their natural world in the environment that they have?
Yeah, because if we don't do that, if they're deprived of that, how can we expect them to care for this
Mm-mm.
earth? How can we expect them to
Right,
nurture the environment that we all have to share? So I just
right.
feel like it is, especially at this time, it is so
Mhm.
important, for us to allow children to fall in love
Mm.
with nature, to fall in
Mhm.
love with the earth, to fall in love with their own capability within it. Like we are all
Mhm.
nature. So I think one day I was walking with my kids, and we were in one of our outside of the fence, like wider spaces, and one of the children just started saying what nature was, like in her own
Mhm.
words, and she was like, "Ah, the air is nature, the sky is nature, the birds are nature." She was just naming everything. And then she ended with, "And I am nature." And she put her hand
Yes.
on her chest. And I was like, yes." It was just
Yeah.
beautiful. It was like one of those moments where a little tear comes
Mhm.
to your eye. But
Yes.
it is important for children to understand and know and feel that
Mm.
they are a part of this
Mm.
big world,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
when you
Mhm.
feel that sense of belonging, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
wow, it's
That
something. It's something
that
special.
belonging, that ecological identity, that
Mhm.
understanding that you are part of something bigger, which can
Mhm.
sometimes feel very overwhelming that you're
Yeah.
this small part of something big, but it also can feel so empowering because you
Yes.
are part of something huge, right?
Mhm. Yeah, you are important. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah,
So
and I
tell
go ahead.
I'm sorry, you go ahead. I wanna know what you're gonna say.
I was just going to add that that actually mirrors the framework that I use for my programming, um, because I work with what is called emergent curriculum, and I leave my educators the space to follow the interest of the children that they have that year that they are working with and use their own creativity, which makes it more engaging and fun for everyone.
Mhm.
um, but that framework is all about cultivating a kinship, which is really engaging in nature play while we're learning about and caring for each other and the environment,
Mhm.
as we're all one. And then growing that growth mindset, which really is thinking about that locus of control that you have over your choices and action while being
Mhm.
part of something bigger. And then um, sprouting stewards of change, which really is agency. So now that we understand we're all connected, we have this growth mindset, what can we do with it to problem solve? What can we do with it to create change? And so as children are exploring things like maybe it has snowed out and they are following tracks, which is what we saw a lot of this year in the space that I'm working at this year.
Same.
Um, right?
Mhm.
So many tracks. Wondering with them, I wonder where the animals are going. Oh, and then they're naturally inclined to follow the tracks, and you can wonder along with them. I wonder what they were
Mhm.
doing. I wonder why they stopped by this bush and play act the lives of that animal so that they are building that kinship. And then um, maybe you want to think about what are some of the challenges that that animal might be facing during winter and how they adapt to overcome them, right? And then you can really um, relate to overcoming challenges.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, it just,
It's
I
all
don't,
connected, right? It just
it is all connected.
yeah.
Yes.
The idea that the ideas are all around us
Mm-hmm.
is what really, really, really
Mm.
garnishes that deep connection that children have. That, like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when the ideas are all around us and they're emergent
Mm-hmm.
and they are organic and authentic,
Yes.
the connection to them and the depth of learning, the depth of understanding the longevity of the experience
Mm.
is
Mhm.
so much richer
Oh,
than if
yeah.
I was to say, "Oh, today we're gonna do a track
Mhm.
thing," and we hadn't even seen
Oh,
any
right.
tracks, and I'm like,
Right.
maybe
Right,
I've
right.
made some fake tracks or something. It's just removed. It is
Mhm.
removed from their real lived experience.
Right.
So, being able to, see what
Mm.
children see and
Mhm.
then engage in that with them, that wondering that you said,
Mhm.
that's our role. Like, that's where it's like, that moment, that magic moment.
That is such a great way to phrase that. I feel like the natural world, especially if you're someplace where you get to experience all 4 seasons, is
Mm,
so plentiful and abundant and
yes.
has all of the affordances you could possibly want, right? So, the way that we kind of frame our day is that we may have daily intentions. And I think of using that word intentions over planning is a
Yes.
mind shift for a lot of
Mhm.
people. So, maybe I noticed that there were tracks out
Yes.
yesterday, but uh, oh, here's a good example. One, 2 great examples. One day I had some great intentions planned, but we found a pile of snakes on the sidewalk that were just coming out of their hibernaculum. There is no amount of anything else that I could have planned for that day that is going to
Mhm.
compete with a pile of snakes on a sidewalk, right? Like that is
Yes.
just what they well, and now we're switching gears,
Mhm.
but that's also the fun of going along on the ride with them and being a guide and placing out provocations to see what takes, what they take hold of and what they want to continue to explore or maybe not. Like some of them flop and that's okay because we also have to model that growth mindset
Mhm.
and be able to change along with what they're doing. So definitely having that mindset of intentions and flexibility is so helpful. And again, that's a life skill that we want the children to pick up on.
Mhm. Wow, it's funny when you talked about snakes. We had a beautiful black rat snake just spend the entire day with us,
Mhm.
hanging out alongside us. And what was amazing was to see the lack of fear that the children had because we had experienced snakes along the
Mhm.
way, leading up to that. And I think it's really important too, the reaction or the modeling that the adults have
Mhm.
when those
Right.
encounters happen. Like,
Right.
do we go running? Are we, screaming, "Get back, everybody!" Or
Right.
are we wandering along with them? Are we observing? Are we, and if there needs to be a distance, we can take our steps back. But it was just it was pretty cool. I was like, we literally are hanging out with this snake. And this was in our fenced yard actually. It's funny the things that we have living on that
Mm.
playground. We have a um a little lizard. We have a tree frog who has
Wow.
lived on our playground, hibernated in our pots, reemerged.
Mm.
It's his own little ecosystem in there. And that
Mhm.
goes to talk about how you don't need a lot of space.
That's right.
You don't.
You don't. In fact, one of my favorite stories um, comes out of my own frustration as an educator. Um, as I was receiving children for drop off, there is a storm drain right at the sidewalk where the children are being let out, and I'm receiving them. I'm trying to check them in, and at that time, parents are trying to communicate things to you. You're grabbing all the gear, you're doing all the things,
Mhm.
and I'm noticing that the children are shoving sticks and leaves and everything they can down all the storm drains. And
Oh.
this happened over a few days. And in my head, I'm thinking, ugh, stop shoving things down there,
Mhm.
right? But then you have to recognize there's an interest and a need and a schema going on.
Mhm.
And what can I do? So the next time they came, I had these corrugated drain tubes and I I got old school ice cube trays and filled them with water and froze them and then brought those out because ice cubes are appropriate to shove down there, right? I
Mm.
had flashlights. So they and cardboard boxes and bungees. So they were building ramps and inclines and thinking about how to best get those ice cubes down into the drain, and then they were watching where they went with the flashlight, and so much rich learning experience happening with that, and you wouldn't believe how hard it is to get a square ice cube through a corrugated pipe. Like, they had to really think out the incline on that.
Mhm.
And and that became this great emergent interest of, well, where does it go from there? Which direction is it going? Well,
Yeah.
it went under the sidewalk, and then we found another storm drain, and then it went from there into the creek. And one day it happened to rain, and we followed the water that was rushing, to see where it was going. And we came upon this culvert where there were big branches, that were starting to get stuck, and I wondered aloud, and these kids must always think that I'm an idiot because I do a
Yes.
lot of wondering. That's fine, that's fine. Oh, gosh, I noticed that these sticks are all getting stuck here, and I wonder what will happen if more sticks end up here.
Mhm.
And I see their wheels turning, and then I hear, the water won't have any place to go. And they're talking amongst themselves, which is what I want.
Mhm.
And they're saying, it's it's going to end up going over the road. And then one child exclaims, we won't be able to get to school. And I thought, who says that? Right?
Mhm.
Who is worried about that? And so I thought, oh, I wonder if there's something we could do. And they knew that any stick that is taller than them, they need more than one person to move it, because we've worked through these risk benefit assessments before together as a group. So they go over there and start removing these giant logs from the culvert so that the water has someplace to go.
Mhm.
So there is that agency and that change. And we followed the water to the pond, to the DuPage River, and talked about the water cycle. And then pickup comes. Their little siblings are waiting. Their little siblings are shoving sticks and leaves in the storm drains. And
Mhm.
I hear my children say to them, "Don't do that." And then they
Because now they know
explain.
why. Now
So
they have
now
experienced it.
they're agents of change. And that's exactly what
Mhm.
this emergent curriculum is all about, and empowering these children to come to know and find their own understanding of what's going on, and that they have the power and control to make change.
Yeah, and the actual hands-on, minds-on, body-on
Mm,
experience is what is going to make it stick. You know,
ye-
we can sit down at desks and we can read books and we can tell them what we want to tell them, but it's
mm,
the actual engagement and the experience that is
mhm,
going to be the teacher. So that was a
yeah.
wonderful story. I love that. I love that. So I want to know
Mhm,
if you can tell me and
mhm,
tell the listeners what age group is your program?
mhm,
Is it year round? Is it, tell us a little bit about the model and the structure of your program. Is it full day, part day?
mhm. So right now, this is our first year of programming for Little Explorers.
Mhm.
Even though this is my like 14th or 15th year of doing this. This is our first year
Mhm.
for Little Explorers, and we are located in Naperville slash Woodridge, Illinois, at Camp Greenwood. And we operate 9 months of the year, September through
Okay.
May, and we offer them as camp sessions that you register for, and they are 2.5 or 3 hours a day. And yeah, that's our program.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Do you find that I'm sorry, what age groups did you say?
Oh, 3 to 5, and then we also offer enrichment programs, for older children and homeschool children, in the afternoon, that are somewhat topic based. So, like art in
Mhm.
nature or
Yeah.
science in nature, that kind of stuff.
Do you find that more families are open to this model, this outdoor,
Mhm.
nature-based? And are you guys fully outdoor?
So we are fully outdoor. We have indoor space though,
Mhm.
and this year we've used it more so than I have used indoor spaces in the past, even when I had polar vortex. It
Mhm.
was a crazy weather year. So we're lucky enough to have access to all of the indoor spaces at
Mhm.
this camp facility that we are at and storage spaces as well. So we're outside most of the time. And then when it drops to like 15 degrees, we're
Yeah.
assessing how does it
Mhm.
feel in our body? Is everyone dressed for the weather? Is it windy? Is it sunny? All of the
Mhm.
things that make a difference.
Awesome. Do you find that families are, beginning to open up to the
hmm
outdoor preschool model? Or you've done
hmm
it for a long time, so do you see a shift?
I do. Actually, I feel like these young families are much more educated on this topic than I ever was when I first started out with children. And they are not only embracing this, but they are advocates for it. And they definitely are agents of change as well.
Mhm.
And they see the benefits and they are looking for this type of programming, which
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm
really nice.
finding.
It
Yeah,
is nice.
that's what I'm finding, that parents are looking for programs where their children are getting outside, and
Mhm,
they want them to get outside in all types of weather. So that is,
right.
it's very, um it feels good. It's coming around. I wonder, and maybe you have wondered about this. I wonder what the shift is. Like what is
Mhm,
making this, I guess, generation of parents with young children start to question
mm,
the ultra indoor screen based,
mhm,
um lack of nature programming, that
mhm.
at one point really grew in popularity. So what do you think the shift is?
A couple of things. One, I think the public school system that was based very much on the Industrial Revolution kind of modeled what it would be like to be a worker and you find yourself a job and you work there forever and you punch your card and you do your things and you go home. And I don't think that we live in that type of society anymore. And people are recognizing that life skills are what is
Mhm.
needed to thrive in society. And also, I feel like nobody wants to just punch a card and do the things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that has shifted a little bit. And I will also say that, we're in a definitely interesting political landscape right now.
Mhm.
And what has held true for me is that everyone sees the benefits of nature based education, everyone across the board. And so it feels like a common space that people can inhabit, and
Mm.
that is nice. That is very nice.
Mhm. Mhm.
We
Wow.
need some more common spaces.
Yes, we do. Find some find some way to heal.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you, and I really want to make sure that you let everyone know how to get in touch with you, how to find you. I know that
Mm.
you can be hired for speaking, presenting.
Oh.
Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your work, and also how
Mhm.
people can get in contact with you.
Yes. This year I have had extra time for professional development and consulting gigs. So you can find me on LinkedIn under Megan Gessler. You can find me on Facebook under Megan Gessler. I'm also at Gessler Megan at Gmail. So you can find me several different ways.
Mhm. And can you tell us how we can find your program? A lot of times people hear
Thank you.
about these programs and they're emailing me, "What is the program called? Where can I find it? I need inspiration." So, if you can tell us how people
Yes.
can find your program so that they can follow you and again, join that circle that I feel like is such a thriving community of folks who are really putting their hearts and souls into this work for young children.
Oh,
So, can you
thank
tell us a little bit
you.
about how we can find your program?
Sure. The program is at littleexplorers.fun.
How did you get dot fun? That is awesome. Never ever heard of that before.
I didn't either, but the owner found that, so I think it's wonderful.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to keep following you and keep learning from you. And hopefully, soon I can see you. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we
I
we
would
will
love
keep
that.
the hope alive. Thank thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was another episode of the Defending the Early Years podcast. Defending the Early Years works to support the rights and needs of young children nationally. Learn more at DEY.org. Pay us a visit, sign up for our newsletter, or connect with us on social media. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.